Hello, MFSN fans. We are here on Selection Sunday. We have all been waiting for this now for 2 years because we didn't get it last year. We're very excited to be here. I'm Dr. Dan Ratner. I'm here with my co-host, as always, Ross the Boss.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss. I'm excited. I love March Madness. I can't wait to talk about the selections, who's playing who. It's going to be a great 1 hour. Guys, stay tuned. And at 6 o'clock Pacific time or 9 o'clock Eastern, we give our predictions on what you should do on your brackets. It will make you a winner this year.
That's right. So we're starting off with, just like you, we're learning about the selection process. Ross and I have been studying who's playing in which conference and who did well in each conference tournament. And this will determine all the seeding. So we're waiting, just like you, to hear the Buckeyes, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and the Fighting Illini of Illinois. We're in overtime. Big game, but Illinois looks like they're going to pull it out. The 2 seed in the Big Ten. And Michigan had been knocked off before by Ohio State in the semifinals. So, Ross, is this game going to matter for tournament seeding at this point?
No, I mean, the one seed's going to for sure be, unless something crazy goes on, there's going to be 2 1 seeds in the Big Ten. It's going to be Michigan and it's going to be Illinois. They'll be the 2 1 seeds, I believe. And Ohio State's going to be a 2 seed, and so will Iowa.
Now, Ohio State, I wonder if they would have been a 2 seed if they hadn't gotten this far. But
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this game, especially when overtime, I don't think it really matters. But no, it's a fun game to watch.
But listen, if they had lost to Michigan handily, they could have ended up a 4 seed easily. Or maybe even a 5 seed. So these kind of things really do matter. Not at this point. Now we have a question coming in. It's from Wichita Films, one of our old friends. He says, "Is
Chris Robinson? Chris Robinson's a huge producer, great softball player. I've known him for years. What's his genius question?"
He says, "Is ASU a 3 seed?" Now
ASU is not going to be in the tournament. Either is Virginia Tech. He went to Virginia Tech. I went to Arizona State. Both our schools are going to be sitting this year out, which I'm very upset about. Please don't talk about it. It's upsetting statement for me.
One thing I appreciate about you, Ross, is you had a smackdown right afterwards. You knew he was coming for you. You knew right where to go. I love it.
I am wearing Guard U, which is an Arizona State shirt.
I know. I recognized even just the colors. I'm so familiar with your ASU stuff. So, okay, you think Illinois is a 1 seed? I think that's pretty clearly going to be the case, especially with them winning the Big Ten. Michigan, you do think is going to hold on to a 1 seed. I think that makes sense too.
Michigan had such a great season and they had such a huge win streak and they played so well during the season. I think they should be rewarded as a 1 seed, even though they lost in their conference, in their Big Ten championship, Big Ten tournament.
How about Baylor? I assume they're still going to be a 1 seed.
Baylor would be a 1 seed. Another team that lost in their conference tournament. Baylor's been, they were undefeated for a long time. They probably have the best backcourt in the country. We'll talk about that a little later, but Baylor's for sure a 1 seed.
And who do you see coming as the third 1 seed?
Well, it's the team that's undefeated. It's the team from Eastern Washington. Western Washington, Gonzaga. They're actually going to be the 1 seed. They haven't lost this year, which is not a good thing. I think a team has to lose to get better, and they did not lose. Even though they did have a pretty good preseason, they played Kentucky, they played some good teams.
Well, let me make a counter argument to that, though, Ross. Sometimes a program has to lose. It doesn't necessarily have to be the team, because the program has institutional knowledge. Gonzaga's had some tough losses, and they've always been trying to break through. Since the days of John Stockton, that's when they started to rise in being known, getting better recruiting classes. Gonzaga always is so close to breaking through. I think they went to the finals. When was it? 2 years ago? I think it was
2 years ago.
And
it was 2 years ago. They're a great program. There was a small Catholic school, like in Spokane. I believe it's Spokane, Washington. It's unbelievable what great of a program they have and what they built in that small little school, and how they compete against the Dukes, the Kentuckys, and schools that are like traditionally unbelievable schools. This school, Gonzaga, some reason they recruit all these great players, and they actually have a great player right now. It's unbelievable.
It's coach and its reputation, and they now have the reputation. Imagine if Indiana State, after Larry Bird had left, continued that role they'd be a fixture, just like Gonzaga is. But Gonzaga has gotten there. Butler was headed in that direction. I don't know if they're going to make it through to that level. Gonzaga is the only mid-level major that I've seen completely rise to that level. So
well, you remember Butler lost their coach. I believe it was Brad Stevens was coaching there. He went to the Celtics. So that program kind of lost a lot.
Exactly.
And then Indiana State, I mean, no offense to the other players on that team in 1980 or 79, whatever year that was when Larry Bird was there, but they had one player. I mean, the rest of the team was distressing. I mean, they had Larry Bird and Bird took him to the championship. They lost to Michigan State with Magic Johnson. And Magic had some pretty good guys on his team. But long story short, I mean, I don't think Indiana State was going to come out and be like his powerhouse team. I don't think it.
Now, Wichita Films is saying Virginia Tech will be a 10 seed. So we'll see about that. Now, let's talk about the conferences. Who are the strongest conferences coming in your mind? Because I watched a bunch of games over the past number of days, the past week, and it's very clear that certain conferences are much stronger.
Well, I mean, the Big Ten they're going to have 9 teams make the tournament, which is a lot, obviously. I mean, I think the only 2 teams they're not going to make it is Northwestern and Penn State. I mean, even Rutgers is going to make the tournament this year out of the Big Ten. So the Big Ten, obviously, for me, I think that's the most powerful conference this year of college basketball. But I don't know how many of those teams will go to the Final Four. We'll find out on our next show.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's the thing. You can get 9 teams in, and then it can just be a complete massacre in the first 2 rounds. You might end up with 2 teams left after the first round. We've seen this happen many times. Go ahead.
But I feel if the ACC's had a down year, I mean, I feel the ACC is not what they used to be. Duke, North Carolina, Virginia. I don't feel those are like the powerhouse teams anymore. I mean, look who won their conference championship. It was Georgia Tech. I mean, they're a good team. I watched them play, and I like Florida State's pretty good too. They were in the championship against Georgia Tech. But long story short, I mean, the ACC has dropped tremendously this year. I would blame COVID, and I think a lot of guys graduated or they left early to go to the NBA, and that's another factor. We'll talk about when you fill your bracket out is experience. And a lot of these schools don't have it because these guys are one and done. And there's a lot of freshmen starting these big programs. And that makes a big difference. If you're a freshman starting, let's say at Duke or North Carolina or any of these schools, and you're going against a senior, I mean, that's a big, it's 4 years difference, Dan. I mean, that's a huge difference. And it really does matter when you play these games. We'll talk about that. I study that.
Teams also go through cycles. They have a graduating class that's great, and then they have to rebuild. A team like Duke or North Carolina usually doesn't need to rebuild because the recruiting's so good, but there are down years for even those programs. So we have a question from Anthony. He's asking, what is a seed? So we need to remember, there are some people watching this that are like, what is this? So I will begin to explain. Ross, you interject.
Go ahead.
As needed. So there are 4 brackets that have seedings from 1 through 16. Those are the rankings. If you're a 1 seed, you are favored to win that bracket. If you're a 16 seed, you are regarded as the worst team in that bracket. The 1 seed matches up with the 16 seed. The 2 matches up with the 15, and it kind of goes into the middle. 3 and 14, 4 and 13, 5 and 12, which is actually a great matchup to look for. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. 6 and 11, 7 and 10, and 8 and 9. Those are the first round matchups of each of the brackets. Anthony, let me know if that gives you an answer. If you're asking what a seed is in general, we can get into a botany discussion later, but I explained what it is.
Very well stated. I mean, each bracket is east, there's 4 different brackets on regions, east, west, midwest. The southeast, they always change it around on me, but I mean, like you said, it's numbered 1 through 16. So the 16 being the worst, the 1 being the best. So you want to have the high seed so you don't play that many good teams to start the tournament. So having a high seed really matters, Anthony. So that's why teams are waiting to find out.
It does.
Where they're seeded.
Anthony was saying he's never filled out a bracket before. So we have some first-time commenters here. For anybody who's new here, check out our stuff. But if you're interested, you like what you're hearing, click like. If you like what you're hearing, hit subscribe and put your comments below and ring the bell for notifications. Then you can find out what's coming up. So we have a comment.
And well, maybe just let me interrupt real quick. We'll be telling you guys the seedings as soon as we hear it. We're going to tell the audience,
right?
And we'll give a little commentary. But again, we're not going to give our predictions till our other show that's on 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's when we'll give our predictions. That's the show you really got to watch.
That's right. We need some time, just like you, to metabolize what we're seeing with the brackets and figure it out. I'm going to read some comments, Ross. We have a comment.
I'm ready.
Now this is in Greek, so I can't.
Okay, I might interrupt you. They're about to do like the first bracket. Gonzaga was just announced as a 1 seed, as we all knew. It's no surprise.
Yep.
But Gonzaga is going to be a 1 seed. I don't know who they're playing. I bet it's like Norfolk State, or it's going to be somebody like, it's going to be a very small school.
Exactly.
And they're showing Gonzaga right now. Let me just tell you what's going on. They're showing Gonzaga. They're in the gym. They're all sitting there like they don't know they're a 1 seed. They all have masks on, which is, we'll talk about that later. I don't want to bring that up, but they all have masks on because they get tested every day. So none of them have COVID. So having masks on doesn't make any sense. So Gonzaga is going to play. They're going to play Norfolk State. That's who they're going to play, or Appalachian State. So Norfolk State and Appalachian State are going to play, and the winner of that game is going to play Gonzaga.
Yep. I mean, I will say, though, it is hard to come in undefeated. You remember the UNLV Running Rebels. Everybody thought that they would run away with it. So let me read these comments, and then we're going to get back to the brackets. We'll go over these brackets a couple times, by the way.
Okay, hold on. Here we get. I got to bring this up.
All right.
People want to hear this.
All right, we'll get to the comments shortly. Go ahead.
Oklahoma's in the West. They're an 8 seed. They're 15-10 this year. I watched them play. The Big 12 is a really really good conference this year. They're my second favorite conference, actually. And they're going to play Missouri. They're a 9th seed. Missouri is 16-9. I watched them play a little bit this year. I'm not that familiar with them. I don't think they're going to go that far in the tournament, but we'll see. The next one is Creighton. They got destroyed yesterday in their conference tournament. They got beat by like 20 points. It was embarrassing. They're playing UC Santa Barbara. They're playing the Gauchos. That should be an interesting game.
Ross, I'm sorry. I need to jump in because one of our commenters, it's very relevant right now. Somebody's asking, can you explain what is the first 4, please? So the first 4 are the teams that have a play-in game. So that means there are 4 teams, and they're going to play. They're going to match up in 2 different games, and the winners get in. Norfolk State and Appalachian State is one of those.
Virginia's a 4 seed right now. They just announced that they were one of the teams that didn't play in their conference because of COVID. They sat it out. They did not play in the ACC conference, and they're going to play Ohio. And remember, Ohio, I have them as an upset team. I don't know if they beat Virginia, but maybe. They only lost to Illinois by 1 point during the season. So Ohio and Virginia are playing each other. That's a great matchup. Another West region game is going to be USC. They're a 6 seed. And remember, they have Mobley, who's going to be a top 3 pick in the NBA draft. He's unbelievable. And they're going to play the winner of Wichita State and Drake. The Drake did it. I like that's an interesting matchup. Again, I don't like the Pac-12. They never do well in this tournament ever. The last team that did well was Oregon a few years ago. But the Pac-12 has a reputation of losing to bad teams. So we'll see what happens. The next seed, this is surprising, Dan. Kansas is a 3 seed. And they're playing Eastern Washington. Remember, Kansas is another team that did not play in their conference tournament because of COVID, but they still got a 3 seed. It's pretty good.
All right, wait. Oregon, I want you to hold that thought. I know I'm interrupting your flow, but we've got comments, and we also have. There's going to be some commentary. Also, I'm going to talk about Kansas in a second. Mickurge Music says, "Hey, do you think Delaware Blue Hens will make it? Do we think they're going to make it? You don't think so?
No, Delaware Hens will NIT it. Oregon's playing VCU. Iowa is in the West region, which is interesting. I was a 2 seed, which I predicted. I think we all did. They're coming out of the Big Ten, strongest. Iowa's going to play. I'm not quite. They haven't announced yet, but Iowa, to me, they have Garza, who's probably one of the best players in the country. They're playing Grand Canyon College, which is a Catholic school in Phoenix, who was coached by Thunder Dan Marley, one of my favorite Phoenix Suns. Yeah, we love Dan Marley. He's the coach of Grand Canyon. They're playing Iowa. That's Grand Canyon's not a bad team. I'm not saying anything right now. I don't know if I'll pick that up.
Yeah, hold off on those picks. But listen, we had to say hi to our chat room MVP, Sam Jacobowitz is here. Welcome, Sam.
I love Sam. Great kid.
Now, I mean, I wanted to say a couple things. First of all, Kansas being a 3 seed, what would have happened if they had played out their tournament and won the Big 12, instead of having to sit that out? What seeding do you think they would have? Or does it just not make a difference? You think it'd be a 2 seed? Yeah.
I think maybe a 2 seed. They had some really bad losses during the year. They didn't. They're not the Kansas we're all used to. They're not a top 10 team anymore. They're like number 17, 16 in the country. They had some really bad losses during the during the season. They're not the team that you and I both think, oh, this is a great Kansas team. They're not. They got a 3 seed because of their reputation. I don't think they're really. I think there's better teams in Kansas that are even 4 or 5 seeds right now.
Yep, we got a hello from Sutton Hinesley. Welcome again.
Sutton Hinesley.
You haven't been with us before, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. We love to have debates with you about this stuff. The question from Sutton is, what do you think of Purdue? So we've got lots of Big Ten teams. Ross, I'll leave it to you first. What do you think of Purdue's chances? And some of it's going to depend on where they get set up.
Purdue's a good team. They beat some really impressive teams in the Big Ten this year. They had a tough schedule. I think Purdue could. I don't know who they're playing in the tournament quite yet, so it's going to depend on who they play. But they could be a Sweet 16 team. I just want to see who the other teams they're going to match up against. But Purdue's somebody that I might take in the Sweet 16. I got to see, but I totally respect Purdue right now.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard not to. I mean, the Big Ten is they're showing very, very strong. But I will say this, the other conference that I think is in line to do very well in this tournament, to me, is the SEC. The SEC, when you see them play, it feels like you're almost watching an NBA game. They're moving that fast. There's so much athleticism. At least when I watched LSU, Alabama, that was incredible.
I like Florida. I agree with you with the SEC. I think Auburn's pretty good. I believe I think they're like probably the 3rd best conference right now in the country. I think they're 100% right.
Yep. Well, we're gonna see how many teams do you think are gonna get in from the SEC?
I haven't thought about it, but if I had to predict, I would say 5. I say there's going to be 5 SEC teams. I think Arkansas obviously is going to be either a 3 or 4 seed. They're a really good team this year. As I mentioned, Alabama is going to be maybe a 3 seed. There's some really good SEC teams. I don't know how far they'll get in the tournament. We'll see what happens. But there's some good SEC teams. That's a good pick by you.
There, it's more quality versus quantity. I mean, those 5 teams are very quality teams. We have a comment from MM Khan. Utah State is likely out, is the question?
They're a bubble team. Utah State's a bubble team. I watched them play. I like their team a lot. I like Bean. I like they have a 7-footer who's unbelievable. They have this big kid, 7'2". I mean, they have a really good, strong team. They're a bubble team. We'll see what happens. I hope they make it. I like the team a lot.
And Utah State played great in the semifinal game. And the big man was huge. If they get in, and I think they'd probably be a 12 seed, maybe an 11 seed if they get in.
100%.
Then
11 or 12.
And that's what happens. Let's just explain this to people who are watching if you don't know. At-large bids tend to get 10, 11, 12 seeds. They're the last teams in, but it doesn't mean that they're that
okay. So
low.
Dan, the South region's going right now. Hartford is Hartford's playing Baylor. Baylor's the 1 seed. Hartford's the 16 seed. Obviously Baylor's going to win that game. I don't have to do a big prediction on that. North Carolina is an 8 seed. This is a good matchup. North Carolina's playing Wisconsin. So it's ACC versus Big Ten. That's a really great matchup. Both teams are young. North Carolina starts like 3 7-footers. That's a really good matchup. The next one, I like Villanova a lot. I mean, I thought they were the number 1 team to start the season, and they kind of dropped. They're going to play Winthrop. Winthrop is no joke. They're a small school. They're very well coached. They got some great talent in that team. That's a great game. I can't wait to watch that game. And here's Purdue. Purdue's a 4 seed. They're going to play Friday night, and they're going to play North Texas, which I don't know nothing about. I can't tell you one player from North Texas, Dan. I know if you can, but I can't.
Well, I can tell you it's far up in Texas. That's all I know.
Yeah, North Texas. Yeah, it's near Oklahoma. So on Friday, Texas Tech is 6th seed, which is pretty good for them. I don't think they'll get that high of a thing, but Texas Tech, Texas Tech's playing Utah State. We were just talking about Utah State.
Oh, they got in.
Utah State got in. They're 11 seed, like Dr. Dan Ratner predicted. They're 11 seed playing Texas Tech. That's one of the bubble teams that got in. So we'll see if Duke gets in. That's the big question right now. Is Duke going to make the tournament? And I don't think they will, but we'll see. Arkansas, which I talked about earlier, they're a 4 seed. They just showed all the kids get up and clap. They're all happy.
I love those moments.
I do too. But you know what the sad thing is? They can't hug each other. They can't tackle each other like they used to do. It's
not yet, but it's coming soon.
It's coming too. So they're playing. Arkansas is a 3 seed. They're playing Colgate. I watched Colgate win their conference championship actually this morning. They're pretty good. They only lost once in their conference. They're not going to beat Arkansas. The next team, another SEC team that I liked a lot was Florida. I like them a lot. We'll see what happens with them. And they are playing. All these games are on Friday too. I can't wait for Friday. They're playing Virginia Tech.
Well, let's mention that too, Ross. The schedule's different this year, right?
Yeah, it's Friday through Monday. So they're playing Virginia Tech. I didn't think they'll make the tournament. They made the tournament. Congratulations to
Wichita Films called it.
Wichita Films called it. I got to hand it to them. They're in. Ohio State's a 2 seed, which we all predicted. They show the players in the locker room. They all have their uniforms on still. Like, that's a great shot. And Ohio State's going to play. Drum roll, please. Ohio State has a great team. They could go pretty far in the tournament. I don't know. They're playing Oral Roberts. Every year, Oral Roberts is in the tournament every year. I mean, every year they make the tournament and they usually lose in the first round, but it's accomplishment. They always make it.
And listen, who among us, when they hear Oral Roberts, doesn't think of oral hygiene? I do right away.
I think Oral Hershiser.
Oh, Oral Hershiser, right. Wait, we have another comment from MM Khan. He says Georgetown is a tough draw. Definitely. I mean, this is a lot of confidence.
They're the hottest team in the NCAA. I mean, Patrick Ewing, beginning of the week, he had to show his ID to get into Madison Square Garden. And he was coaching that night, and his name's in the rafters because he's retired Knick, and he's in the Hall of Fame for the Knicks, and they retired his number, and he couldn't even get in the building without showing his ID. It's unbelievable.
That's a serious faux pas from MSG. Come on.
But Georgetown's a great story. We have a commercial break, so I'll talk about it. John Thompson died in August. That was Patrick Ewing's coach growing, when he was there. He died this year. Patrick Ewing took the job this year as the head coach. He was coaching in the NBA as an assistant coach. He took this really high pressure job coaching Georgetown. Georgetown did not have a good year. They finished 8th in the Big East, which is not good.
No.
And so they won the Big East. They were like the hottest team. They won 6 in a row. They were like on fire. And now they're in the tournament, and I don't know what's going to happen in the tournament with them. I don't know. They're one team that I would not want to play.
The question, though, I think right now the question would be where are they going to be seated?
They'll be a 7 or 8 seed. Big East gets a little. People like the Big East. They won the Big East, so they're playing good basketball. I would say 8 seed. Let's say 8 seed.
All right, listen. To me, 8 seed is not what you want because you're playing the 1 seed in the second round in all likelihood. So you really, if getting the 7 seed or if you can get the 6 seed, then you're really in the thick of things. You can upset a 3 seed and stay around for a long time if you're hot. So Wichita Films is saying 12 seed for Georgetown. I don't see that because I don't see them as an at-large bid.
Yeah, I mean the 12 seats go to teams that are in weak conferences that win their conference championship. I don't want to mention any schools' names because some people may get mad at me, but
or it could be teams that finish like 7th in their conference, but their conference is so strong that they're put in the back end anyway.
Well, usually the big schools, you never know, but I feel that they save that for the Liberties and the schools like that are not from big conferences, but we'll see what happens.
But listen, I never understood this when I was a kid. I understand it now, but when I was a kid and I was picking teams, the seeds would come out and I would treat it as if this was their ranking. This is the order, so, but that's not actually how it goes at all. You get certain seedings based on at-large bids, on how you did in the tournament. Look at Kansas. That they had a
reputation, past
reputation.
Performances,
Also
alumni power.
They also love to match. They love to match teams up. They like to have, like, if North Carolina can play Duke in some big game, they want to set it up so they're maybe the 1 and 2 seed in a bracket.
Dan, I got a big surprise for you, Dan. Illinois is a 1 seed, Dan. Are you
oh my God, I'm
shocked.
I can't believe it.
Dan, right,
I can't believe it.
I'm shocked too. They came in.
They were going to be a 1 seed, and then they won the Big Ten tournament and are a 1 seed. I can't believe it.
So Illinois is a 1 seed, Midwest region, which is obviously probably one of the highest rated teams right now. They're going to play Drexel. I actually like Drexel. I thought they have a pretty good team, but they're not going to beat Illinois, obviously. Not many 16 seeds have beat 1 seeds before, just so you guys know. I don't know if it's ever happened before. And very rarely do 15 seeds lose to 2 seeds. So
did you say you don't know if a 16 seed has ever beaten a 1 seed? It's happened once.
It happened once, yeah.
Remember Virginia? Virginia was a 1 seed.
Loyola Chicago, they're an 8 seed. They have that sister. What's that sister's name that's there? That 102-year-old,
right?
102-year-old lady. Let's say Sister Mary. She's 102 years old. They're playing Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech won the ACC this year. I watched them play last night. So that's an 8 and 9 seed. Loyola got a nice seed. They got an 8 seed, which is pretty high for them. Tennessee got a 5 seed. That's another very strong conference SEC team. They're playing Oregon State, who won the Pac-12 tournament and who was actually predicted to come in 12th in the Pac-12 during the offseason. And now they're in the tournament and they're a 12 seed. Which you're right, they deserve a 12 seed. Oklahoma State is a 4 seed. You like them a lot. I like them a lot. I think Oklahoma State is going to go pretty far in the tournament this year. I like them. I think they're a very strong team. They're playing Liberty. Liberty has some sports program. Their football team had a great season. Now their basketball teams in the tournament. They're unbelievable school for sports. I never knew that. So San Diego State is in the Midwest now. They're going to play Friday also. I watched them play in their conference championship. They won their conference championship. They have a very strong team.
I got to break in for a sec because Wichita Films is giving us some nice assists. UVA lost to UMBC. That was the 16 seed that beat the 1 seed. He's also saying that Georgetown went 12-12. They were a 500 team. So that's why he's saying a 12 seed for Georgetown. But even so, I think the young teams that are doing very well and up and coming, they tend to be 8 and 9 seeds. And I also want to say Georgia Tech, they won the ACC tournament, but they're only a 9 seed.
And they finished 4th in the ACC, which isn't bad. But again,
I think a 9 seed is very low for them. Not very low, but I would say a 7 or a 6 seed is what I would have expected.
Another bubble team that got in right now is Syracuse. The Orangemen got in. They're going to play San Diego State. Syracuse did not have a great season, but they got in. Doesn't matter. West Virginia, they're a 3 seed. They're going to play Friday night too. I think West Virginia is a very tough team. Huggins is their coach. He's great. Morehead State. They're playing Morehead State. Morehead State's a 14 seed. They're 23-7 for the season. They're actually located in Kentucky. They make the tournament a lot. The 7th seed is Clemson. That's another ACC team. I like Clemson a lot. I think they could go pretty far in their tournament. I've seen them play a lot during the season. They're playing Rutgers. Rutgers, another Big Ten team. They're going to have 9 teams. It's
so funny. They're going
to have 9 teams in this tournament. It's going to be unbelievable.
It's so hard for me to think of Rutgers as a Big Ten team, though. I mean, I understand
they were 15-11 this year. They got a 10 seed. 15-11, they make the tournament.
All right. Let's check in with the audience because I want to get a sense of what they're thinking about this. What are the surprises out there, guys? Let's see it in your comments. We want to find out who do you think made it that shouldn't have made it? Who do you think looks like they're getting left out? What?
So Houston's a 2 seed. That's kind of high for them. I thought to be a 3 seed. Houston's a 2 seed.
Oh, I thought that was expected.
And they're playing the mighty Cleveland State team. They're a 15 seed. So there you go.
Cleveland State team. That's right. I love it.
Remember, if audience doesn't know, Dan loves Cleveland. He lives there.
And remember
And
1986 when Mouse McFadden brought them all the way to the Sweet 16 against David Robinson and Navy. Okay, so we have a question from Anthony. So you guys are going to be live again tonight to share your predictions. That is correct. At 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, or 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, depending on which coast you're on.
Right.
We will be here. We're going to have our picks by then, and we're going to be joined by Vlad to the Bone, Casey Scheinvold. Now,
and Vlad to the Bone is one of the greatest predictors when it comes to college basketball in the country. Not in the state of Pennsylvania where he's from, but in the country. He's unbelievable. So you got to listen to our show in a few hours.
Yeah. So, but what do you guys think? And for the audience out there, what do you think is happening here that's a surprise to you? I mean, we had some questions before that are really good questions, clearly good fans in here. There was a question, is Utah State going to make it? I thought they were going to, because what I had heard is that if they made their conference final, that was a strong enough showing that they probably should make it. And
but with the Oregon State winning, with the Georgetown winning, that took away one of the bubble teams. Oregon State winning, that took away one of the bubble teams. I mean, that's the thing. I thought Utah State might not have a chance to make it. So all that being said, I don't think Duke's going to make it this year, which is unbelievable because they've been in the tournament I want to say almost 30 years straight. They haven't.
I think it's actually been a million years. Okay, now wait. I want to ask a couple questions to the audience too. You don't have to answer us, but I would like to hear from you. So a team like Syracuse, they're an 11 seed. I always love Syracuse. I don't know why. It's just Jim Boeheim. I just always have loved them. And, they have a long history with Derek Coleman and Carmelo Anthony. And they're an 11 seed. So I don't want you guys out there thinking that you can't pick an 11 seed to go pretty far, but you want to be careful about which ones you pick. You want to understand that, certain 11 seeds are different than other 11 seeds. Syracuse has not played that well, but they're coached by Jim Boeheim. There's a ton of experience in there. I tend to pick in part by the coaches. It's a big way to do it.
I think Coach K is always good to bet with during tournament time. I think Coach Williams in North Carolina is always a good bet to, Coach Self in Kansas. I mean, I think all these top end coaches are really good bets. Even I want to say it, Tom Patino, he has,
Rick,
he's in the tournament.
I don't know who Tom Patino is. It's his
Tom
cousin.
Patino worked with me. He worked with me in another show. But Rick Pitino, who's on his fifth team right now, he took to the tournament, which is an unbelievable stat. It's unbelievable. He's in the tournament this year. I don't know how far his team will go, but I root for him. We'll see what happens.
And Iona was not ranked very highly even in their tournament, but it's Rick.
The problem with Iona is they took 3 months off. 3 months they did not play basketball because of COVID, and they came back and they're in the tournament. How about that?
That's like me. I took 8 years off, and when I came back, I couldn't make the tournament anymore. Now, Wichita Films, lots of assists today. You got great knowledge out there, my friend. He says the last time Syracuse was an 11, guess what happened? They made the Final Four. They made the Final Four. I remember that. I can't remember what year it was. And he also says it was 1995 since Duke missed out on the tournament. I thought it was a million years ago when there were dinosaurs.
I thought it was 91, but I think he's right. It's 95, which is a crazy stat if you think about it.
It is. So we've got great things going on. I
got breaking news. I got unbelievable news.
All right, Ross, here's the way you're going to do it though. Because we got to make sure that the audience is getting it the way they need it. Just give us like a 4-team nugget, and then we'll check into the audience, and then you give the next one.
Well, Michigan's a 1 seed. That's what I wanted to tell you.
What?
Michigan's a 1 seed. They're in the East region. They're going to play the winner of Mount St. Mary's in Texas Southern. That's who they play. Michigan, their best play now, their second best player, Livers, he's out indefinitely. So instead of being an elite team, they became a very, very good team because Livers may not play during the tournament. That being said, I don't know how far Michigan's going to go. Before I had them winning the whole thing, but now I don't have them winning the whole thing.
So what changed? What changed in your mind?
Their second to best player is hurt. He's not playing. Livers. He's not playing. His foot is hurt. He hurt his foot. LSU's an 8 seed, which is not surprising. I thought LSU.
They're a dangerous 8 seed, though. If you've watched them play, they are extremely athletic. They're
the best games are always 8 and 9 seeds. Always feel the 8 and 9 seeds like North Carolina, Wisconsin. So the 9 seed is St. Bonaventure, who's always a dangerous team. They were 16-4 this year. They're a 9 seed. That's not that's not an easy game for LSU. I can't wait to look at that game.
Yeah, that's a tough call. And you know what? If they had beaten Alabama in the SEC final, they would have had a higher seed. It shows how these things make a big difference. I just want to remind everybody out there, if you like,
here we go.
Hit like, click subscribe. Don't worry, the brackets will still be there when I'm done with this.
Here we go. So Colorado,
ring the bell for notifications and put your comments.
Colorado's a 5 seed. Georgetown's a 12 seed. So
wow, Wichita State nailed it.
So Georgetown's a 12 seed. They're playing Colorado, who's in the Pac-12. That's an interesting game. Colorado's a good team. They have some good talent on the team.
No, I mean that is a dogfight right there. But see, Ross, do you agree with this? A lot of people are going to look at that and think, oh, it's a 5-12 seed, so the 5 seed always wins. Guess what? I think it's actually almost over 50% that the 12 seed beats the 5 seed.
I love that.
It's a crazy thing. But if you're looking for upsets, the 5-12 is the most noted one.
So Florida State's a 4 seed. They're playing UNC Greensboro. Florida State's playing really good basketball. I don't think I'll be taking UNC Greensboro this year.
Probably not, but wait and see. You could come back and find out.
BYU's a 6 seed. They got in. I think that's a little high for them. They're in the WAC. They're playing the winner. They're both 11 seeds. The winner of the Michigan State UCLA game. That's the play-in to play BYU. And guess who I'm taking? I'm going to take the winner of the Michigan State UCLA game to beat BYU.
Yeah, I bet you will. I mean, look, those are some really quality programs that are getting in a play-in game. Amazing.
I'm kind of surprised on that, actually. Surprised BYU's not in the play-in game, but oh well. No one respects the Pac-12. No one respect. Michigan State had an up and down year. They did beat Michigan. Texas got in. They're a 3 seed. No surprise. They had a great conference tournament run. They look great. They're playing Abilene Christian. I believe that's a Texas school too, I think.
Yeah, but Dan,
am I right?
There's a couple of teams like that.
Christian.
There's a couple of teams like that we have not seen that are now emerging. Who knows? Maybe the next Gonzaga. We'll see.
Yeah, so the 7th seed is UConn. UConn has had an up and down season, another Big East school. I don't know how far they go. They're playing KC, Flat to the Bones alumni school, Maryland. That should be a great game. It's another Big Ten school. Maryland got in. Alabama is a 2 seed, which you and I are not surprised about. We both said Alabama would be a 2 seed. And I wonder what team they're playing. We'll see in a second. But I love these reaction shots they show. They're in an auditorium and they're all spaced out and they're all got up and clapped. They're playing Rick Pitino's team, Ayana, which is interesting. They got a 15 seed. And Rick Pitino actually said that he'll make it to the Final Four this year. He said that in the press conference.
No, he did not.
Yeah, he did.
Did he?
Look it up.
Okay, listen. We've got a comment on Shaka
So
Smart.
Ross Boss is right. 9 Big Ten teams have gone into the tournament. 9.
I know.
Seven from the Big 12, 7 from the Atlantic Coast. The Southeastern Conference has 6. The Pac-12 has 5.
But there's something that feels so weird about it. It's like Rutgers and Maryland don't belong in the Big Ten, not in the days that I knew.
So the teams that are on standby have not gone in yet. It's Louisville, Colorado State, St. Louis, and Ole Miss. Those teams have not heard yet about getting into the tournament. So those are the 4 teams in the bubble. They're on standby. They don't know what's going on. We're going to find out very soon where they stand.
This is the last bracket coming up, right? So
yeah.
We had a comment about Texas and Shaka Smart. There's certain players this is something I like to do when I watch the NCAA tournament, is kind of imagine which of these players are going to be big time NBA players. And it's not always what you'd think. There's players that are playing on not such great teams, like the big man on Utah State. He'll end up in the NBA, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you can't teach height. So that's one of the things. But you watch these teams, Mobley is another one. You watch these players and you imagine who could be the number 1 pick out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mobley should actually play another year in college basketball. I think he's not ready. I don't think his body is ready to play in the NBA. I think he's very soft, he's not strong. He's not like the kid from Illinois. He's not like, he's not ready NBA wise to play with those guys quite yet, but he will be. So I think he's going to come out. Obviously he'll be the 3rd pick of the draft or 2nd pick of the draft, but we'll see what happens.
I just made a hilarious mistake. Shaka Smart is the Texas coach. That's pretty funny. This is a thing that happens every year. You're watching college basketball, and there's so many teams, and there's so many players to catch up on, and there's so many games. So I try to use the tournament week to catch up and understand who are all these teams. I mean, I try to do it during the year if I can, but you're going to miss certain teams.
Yeah, I mean, Texas has Sims. They have Coleman. They have some really good players. I mean, Texas is. They have a great guard who had 30 points yesterday, and they have a guy named last name Sims. He's unbelievable too, Lucas Sims. And it's for me, I think Texas is a team you got to be aware of. I think they're going to be very good this year.
Yeah, there's it's just fun to watch these guys, and I also think, I mean, there's certain coaches that are emerging. I mean, Patrick Ewing. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with him. Juwan Howard at Michigan. These are guys who I was used to watching, and now they are the coaches, and they're really flourishing. So it is a shame that there was an injury to Michigan, and we'll see what is the status of that injury.
He's out indefinitely. It's a stress foot, not a fracture, but his foot has a stress with one of the muscles or something.
His foot is stressed. He needs to
it's stressed. Yes. So he's out indefinitely, which means there's no timetable. They don't know when he'll be back. They don't know how serious it is. I don't think they've done an MRI. If they did, they're not announcing what the real results are. But the odds of him playing in the tournament are very low. But we'll see what happens.
Let's talk a bit more about some of the conferences. What do you feel about the Pac-10? How are they going to do in this tournament?
I mean, the Pac-10 was awful during the preseason when they played non-Pac-10 teams. They did not impress me at all. When they played big programs, they did not play that well. They lost to almost everybody that had any name value at all. Of course, they beat up on the small schools, but I think the Pac-12. The only team I like in the Pac-12 doing any damage at all, I feel, is either Oregon or USC, but I don't think they'll be in the Sweet 16. I got to start again. We'll announce it on a few hours. But
yep. Well, okay. So listen, I want to hear about what's your picking record, because people are going to come back and they're going to find out, what our picks are. They want to know, and so I want to know: are you somebody to trust? I hate to ask it, but I gotta ask.
Yeah, I mean, I look at a lot of certain facts that a lot of people don't look at. I look at experience. I look at how old each player is and how many years they've been on the team. I hate taking all freshman team like Kentucky. Obviously, they're not in it this year, but that can really hurt you in the tournament. I like teams with experience.
But let's remember, sometimes those freshman teams. Remember the Fab.
I know. Listen. There's exceptions to my rule, of course. We know that, but
right.
But there's no Fab Five coming out of the NCAA this year. There's no team we're saying that has 5 freshmen that are going to be first round draft picks in the NBA. Let's be serious. So I have a whole theory. When I look at what conference they're in. I look at the competition they've played. I look at their coach. I look at their record. I look at how they ended the season. I looked at if COVID affected them at all this year. There's a whole bunch of terminations that I look at, and I've had great success in this college basketball tournament.
So do you think you're going to beat me and Casey? That's what I want to know.
We could pick the same teams. I don't know. I mean, I have not done my bracket. I'm excited to do it. I can't wait to sit down and figure out who I'm taking. Of course, I'm going to beat you and Casey. That's of course. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
See, that's the reaction I was going. I thought you were going to almost blow a gasket when I asked that question, but
no, there's no gasket to be broken. I'm very confident. I love this type of year. I know Casey Vlad to the Bone Scheinfeld has a huge reputation, especially in the East Coast. I'm West Coast, so it's West Coast versus East Coast. I can't wait to take you guys down, because I'm Ross the Boss.
And of course, I'm right in the middle in the Midwest. Now, we got a question from MM Khan. Louisville or VCU is the odd team out? It's looking like it could be one of those two.
I think they're out. I think we're done with the tournament. I think they did all the brackets, right? I believe we're done.
Yeah.
I believe Louisville is out.
I guess they're the two ones.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the volume on my TV, so I'm just watching, but I believe we did all 4 regions. I believe it's over.
It's over.
It's over. So yes, Louisville's gone. BCU, yeah. I mean, these teams are gone. I think BCU did make it, but the teams that you mentioned, yeah, they did not make it, which I'm not surprised. I didn't think Louisville was going to make it this year.
So here I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to do an experiment.
And Duke's out too, which is surprising. I mean, Duke is out officially. They're not playing.
How fast does the NCAA bracket come out on the internet? It's probably already out. I'm going to go take a look.
Here we go. This is a great experiment. So you're looking at Yahoo. Tell the audience what you're doing. You're looking at the Yahoo Sports, and ESPN also does a great job with their brackets too. Like I played ESPN before too. I've done it many years in a row. But this year, picking your teams, we'll talk about it in a couple hours. The tournament's all in Indiana. I'll probably repeat this again in a few hours. They're all playing in the same state. A few games are in different counties, but it's never been done before. So when you pick your teams, we'll talk about this later. It's a little different this year. It's not the same. It doesn't matter what, like, if you're in the West, it's not like you're flying to the West Coast to play any games. You're all flying to Indiana.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter.
That's right. Actually, yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, we're saying like, San Diego State is going to stay on the West Coast. No, they're not. They're flying to Indiana. They're not staying on the West Coast. Michigan's not staying in the East. They're flying to Indiana. So everybody's flying to Indiana. Just remember that, folks.
No, look, I temporarily forgot that. When I saw that Iowa was in the West, I was like, ooh, that's tough for them. It doesn't matter. It's completely theoretical.
They think they can drive to the game. Indiana is really close to Indianapolis. It's the next state over. It's very close.
Yep. All right, let me see. Is it up already? Yes, it looks like it's already up.
Dr. Dan Ratner has breaking news. Yahoo. If you guys want to do your bracket, don't do it quite yet.
No. Wait. I didn't find it on Yahoo. Yahoo, it was not up yet, but I did find it. I just looked on the internet to see, can I find a bracket that's already up? And it's kind of...
Make sure it's not a projected bracket. Make sure it's the real bracket.
I'm looking at it. This is the exact thing we just looked at.
Okay.
It's all right here. Where is it? It's on... This is somewhere on Twitter, and that's not surprising. Twitter, they break these things very fast.
Okay, Ross the Boss is going to check out Yahoo right now.
Yeah, I checked Yahoo, and it's the first time I've checked it within seconds of the bracket announcement. But
well, you got to wait. It has to download, but here we go.
But here now I'm doing the thing that I love to do. I stare at the bracket. It's like I become kind of autistic. I rock back and forth, and I just look at it because I'm like, oh my God.
Danny, we're like this. So I pressed it, and it said an error occurred. Error code. Da 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 da.
Exactly. So, that's what happened to Louisville.
So it's not up yet.
Nope. But we're looking at it, and so I'm wondering. Let's start off with this. I know we're not going to do our picks until about a little over 2 hours. But how many teams do you think can win it all legitimately? Obviously it can be anybody.
Great question. I would say if I gave you 6 teams right now on the top of my head who I think will win it, I think one of those teams are going to win it. I think I can give you 6 teams. Right.
Well, give me your 6. I'm curious.
I'll give you my 6. So I feel. Again,
I think there's more.
I'm saying 6. I don't want to say like 20. I'm trying to stay a little like I'm trying to be like I don't want to say 20. I think this year there's going to be a dark horse that will go to the Final Four for sure. I don't know who that is quite yet, but I will let you know. But I think Baylor right now is the team who I think is the hardest team right now, and that's the best rounded team in the tournament because of their guard play. Their guard play is unbelievable. They're a team you got to be reckoned with. Illinois, I like a lot. Michigan, I like a lot. I don't know if they're going to win it all. I'm worried about Livers being out, so I'm probably going to take them out because everybody else will take them. Gonzaga, just because they're undefeated, and it's hard for me to say no to them, especially with the talent pool they have. And then I love Ohio State, and I'll say another team that I love a lot. Maybe they can make it. I love Oklahoma State too. They probably have one of the best players in the country right now. I mean, and I like Iowa too. I don't. There's so many teams that have a chance to do well. And we'll talk about it in a couple hours. But I would say there's.
But Wichita State says there's 8 teams. He thinks there's 8 teams that can win it. I think there's at least 10. because I'm going to include a team like
I'm throwing Michigan out.
Well, I actually think Michigan does not have a very good chance of winning with that injury. So, but I'm going to say a team like Villanova, they can always win it all.
I love Villanova. I forgot about them.
They
had a horrible midseason.
Yep.
They had a horrible 2 weeks that destroyed them, that took them out of the top 10. But
exactly,
they have a really good team.
You gotta understand the context. I'd rather pick them as a 5 seed, let's say, than Ohio State as a 2 seed. I don't see Ohio State winning the whole tournament. I mean, they could, but I really don't like.
They went overtime. I think Illinois can win the whole thing too. I forgot about Illinois. That's another team that I love. I love Illinois. I love their play. I feel. All right. I have a lot of friends that went to that school, and they all chanting Illinois. So I have to say maybe Illinois is another team I like a lot.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be back at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to have my picks. Ross is going to have his picks. Casey's going to have his picks. And then we're going to do battle over who we think is going to win. We're going to look at those different brackets. We'll have it up on the screen. We hope you can join us. If you haven't already, though, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. This is my favorite time of year. March Madness is here. Baseball's around the corner. It's getting warmer. Daylight savings. It's just everything's coming up roses. We can't wait to see you. Just a little over 2 hours. We look forward to seeing you then. Thank you for watching.